What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to another True Raider podcast. So now I'm trying to start this thing of TGI Raiders Friday Live, right? And I'm looking at probably like a 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, um, weekly setup. I'm not really sure what time I'm going to schedule it at weekly. I'm looking at doing this every Friday. I don't work on Friday, so I figured, I know for me, I love to listen to different Raiders content creators while I'm at work. And so since I'm not at work on Fridays, I figured during the middle of the day would be a good time to go on. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what's going to be a good time for us to be looking at this. Um, yeah, I just got off from Graphic was live. I think another guy just went live too, and it's all good, man. Just more content for the nation. That's what I'm all about. So really, I mean, I want to take a good look at what's going on with our quarterback room. Right now our quarterback room is things are a little bit weird to say the least, right? We got Aiden O'Connell just changed his number to number 12. So I'm hoping that this is going to kill all the Tom Brady rumors. I don't think that they're going to give Aiden O'Connell number 12 if they had any idea that Tom Brady might be coming out of retirement. Um, Chris, what's going on? Are you talking about going on right now or just in general, man? I know that I keep finding more and more content creators every week. I keep finding another channel. It's like, oh man, I've never seen them before. It's pretty cool, right? It's really cool that Raider Nation just has so many different content creators just listen to so much stuff because I don't know about you guys, man, but when I start running out of stuff to listen to, I start getting kind of bummed out, because I'll have my earbuds in when I'm at home or, when I'm at work, I got it playing in the background while I'm doing my stuff, so it's really cool to have, man. Really pumped on that. Hit list, what's up, man? Glad you made it. Glad you made it. Let's see. Brady was never going to play for the Raiders. I think you're exactly right on that. I think that maybe there was a opportunity a couple years back, and Gruden kind of shot that down. And I think that ship sailed at that point. I don't think that that's going to be a thing. And really, Aiden O'Connell taking the number 12, I really hope that it makes that clear, because if Brady was going to possibly come out of retirement to play for us, I don't think that they're going to let Aiden O'Connell take number 12. So I'm glad that he was moved on from number 4. I really think that the last staff really put him in a weird position by putting him at number 4. People were still really raw about the whole Derek Carr thing. And so for them to put him as number 4, I think was intentional. And I never really liked that they did that. So him moving on to number 12, I think that there's still going to be some people that have feelings about that, but it really puts him in a position where he's not carrying our previous quarterback's number, right? Um, and 16 wasn't available. Some people were saying, well, why didn't he just go at number 16? Jacoby Myers has number 16. And, I don't think that they're willing to give that up. I think he'd have to pay to get out of that number because of jerseys and things like that. But Gardner Minshew is going to be number 15, right? And so, really taking a look at, Aiden O'Connell versus Gardner Minshew. I got a couple of friends, man, that are they're laughing it up, man. They're saying, "What are you guys doing? Quarterback by committee?" And it's like, "Ha ha, you guys are so funny, right?" But I mean, what do we have going on, right? Because there's a big debate in the nation right now. There's a big split. Some people are really, saying, you know, I'm sure Demokes will probably pop out at some point and say, Aiden O'Connell is going to get MVP this season. And then there's some people are just all about the Minshew mania and convinced that that's going to be the route moving forward. And the arguments are either because of his pay, or another one is just his experience, right? And I'm split myself, right? The more um the what team do they root for? Giants fans, 49ers fans, and Bears fans so far have told me that same stuff, man. I where I work, man, there's a lot of football fans, and there's a big split in the whole facility. You know, we don't. There's plenty of Raiders fans there, but there's a lot of Niners fans. There's a handful of like Bears and Cowboys and stuff like that. You know, and so it's always pretty fun to poke fun at each other on all that stuff, man. But yeah, I mean, you know, they're I like Gardner Minshew. I like Aiden O'Connell. AOC number 12, Brady is probably at camp working with both our QBs, you know, and that would be great. You know, if Brady really wants to take a stake in this team and ownership, I think it'd be great if he's out there and trying to help clean up these quarterbacks, right? And trying to get them ready for this season. And I would love to see that. If that does happen, I don't know if they're gonna make it public or not. You know, they might just kind of do it behind the scenes kind of thing, you know, and I don't really know if he even does that, you know, if he might not even care enough or might not be invested enough in the actual players to do those kind of things, you know. But like right now, like I keep watching different tape on, you know, I've been watching tape on Aiden O'Connell, I've been watching tape on Gardner Minshew, and it's like almost day to day for me, man. Like one day I'll be convinced, like, you know what, like I think they're gonna roll forward with Aiden O'Connell. Because we've gotten to see who Gardner Minshew is, right? They already know who he is because he's got plenty of tape. And then, you know, we also don't necessarily know what Aiden O'Connell has, right? As far as ceiling, you know, we got to see some good play out of him, especially those last couple of games. He really started playing a lot better. And so, you know, they could be looking at like, you know, we want to play Aiden O'Connell and just really see what we have in this guy. Um, and that might work out, and that might be that they put him out there for a couple games and then kind of make a decision to pull back and go with Minshew, you know, or Minshew might win that, you know. And I've been like watching their tape, and like Minshew, I think that a lot of people are higher on him because they don't really like Aiden O'Connell, and maybe because he's a little bit he's quite a bit more mobile, right? He will run for a touchdown, he will run for a first down. He navigates the pocket pretty good, but he also reads defenses really well. He's really good at like turning his body in a way to make it seem like he's going to throw on the outside and then he throws it down the middle, right? He's got some good shovel passes in his tape. He's got some good stuff that I really then I start seeing that, and I'm like, you know what? Minshew's the way to go. I think that we need to start Gardner Minshew, sit Aiden O'Connell for another year, and maybe he'll develop for the following year or something like that, right? And I keep going back and forth. You know, I don't know if they even plan on rolling forward long term with either of these guys, and I really think that this season is going to show the truth on that, right? I think that they're going to really get to see who they have in their quarterback room and make a decision on, you know, do we even want to try with either of these guys? Maybe they want to draft a quarterback next year and start developing them, or try to pick up somebody who's already NFL ready. You know, or you might be right, Trey Lance. You know, Trey Lance is an option. I don't think that we're going to end up going that route. But yeah, Trey Lance really he got put in this position where we don't really know if he really is a bust or not, right? Um, and I would hate to see us move like, you know, the Cowboys picked him up for a third round pick. I wouldn't want to move a third round pick to go pick him up, you know. And if the Cowboys are really willing to let him go, I think that will speak a lot to, you know, what their evaluation of him has been. You know, if they, especially if they let him go and they let him go for a fifth or a sixth round pick, it's really going to show that they brought him in, they thought there was some value there, and then decided no, never mind. You know, but I honestly I don't think Trey Lance is going to be the Dak Prescott replacement. You know, I have a feeling Dak Prescott will end up being a Cowboy next year, and I think that they'll roll forward that way. I know that there's a lot of people in the nation that want to bring Dak Prescott over here. I personally don't want to really see that. Um, yeah. See, here are some facts. Carr never had to compete with anyone. Now we have a QB battle. You know, and that's facts, Chris. Like I like the fact that we have a QB battle on our hands, right? Because then that puts people in a position where you know, they're actually having to fight for that position. There's so many starters in the league that just they don't have any competition. They know the job is theirs and they can just kind of kick back and give whatever effort they give, you know. And both of these guys going into this, for one, know that they have to fight just to get the job. But then they also have to fight to keep the job. and with the way that the work ethic is really developing in the building, for the Raiders, it's I don't see AP or even other players, settling for a guy that's putting in a half-ass effort. I really believe that, they're really going with the Max Crosby mindset, and they're trying to make that like the locker room mindset. And it looks like it's working. I posted a video about, that the Raiders had posted where, you got voluntary OTAs and everybody's out there. You don't see any divas that are skipping out like, oh, I don't have to do this. It's voluntary. And so I'm not going to show up. Like what we had was we had our star players out there. Right. And that sets a good example for the rest of the guys in the locker room. But it also just speaks so much to how bought in these players really are. And even us, that Giants fan I was telling you guys, he sent me the clip of that, right? And he's like, man, he's like, you know what, you guys actually might be good to this year just on the fact that these guys are so bought in. And I told him, I was like, man, I've been telling you this, dude, like, because I got a lot of coworkers that talk shit about AP, and they're like, I don't think he's a good coach and I don't like his style. They're not in Compton, they're in Vegas. What's he doing with the low rider and all this stuff? But the big thing is that, like, it's not that he's this big old X's and O's guy, right? And they don't understand when I explain it to him like that. It's more about him having the culture, him having these guys that are willing to run through a brick wall for them. That I think that that's going to be the benefit that we really get out of having AP as our coach. And it's not like AP has zero experience with coaching. It's not like he's had no coaching job ever in his life and just got thrown in because he happened to be in the building that day. Like, he also has coaching experience. Let's see, I'm on that same train, man. No Dak, and the Cowboys are probably going to keep Trey Lance. I know if I were the Cowboys, I'd want to be holding on to him because right off the bat, you got a good backup in the room, and then, maybe him as developing into their starter at some point. I think they still have Rush, which I'm surprised that they're not happy with that because, I know that Rush had gone in. One of the Cowboys fans at my work was talking about how, they were maybe sold on Rush replacing Dak Prescott because, he was winning them games while Dak was out on an injury. So, I don't know what's really going on, man. Chad, what's up? Salute, man. Welcome to the building. Glad you're here, man. Let's see. I think our QB room is doing pretty good. I think it's doing really, really good right now. I'm happy with it. I would have been happier if we had, one of those higher tier rookies come into the building also. We did get that UDFA signing, Gus Bradley's son, right? He's his son. And I don't really see him as like being like in competition for a starting role, especially not this year. But I don't really know too much about him. I watched a little bit of tape on him. It was a little hard for me to find anything that was really any good. I saw some biased opinion breakdowns and things like that where they just wanted to show his good stuff and they weren't really showing his bad stuff. And his good stuff looked pretty all right. I don't see him as being better than Minshew or Aiden O'Connell though. But some players that get to the NFL level and they really develop and they really go. That's what happened with Brock Purdy. It's not like he came in and was just this hidden talent. He got to the NFL and he put in the work and he developed his game and really got in a position where he is what he is today. Let's see. Battle of the XFL QBs, not knowing who your QB is tells you everything you need to know. They're not it. And that's an opinion that I can't really argue with either, right? Because it's nice to know that, like, hey, like, this is our guy because he is that good, and I'm not gonna sit here and try to sell you guys like either of the quarterbacks that we're looking at in our battle with Minshew and AOC on if they're gonna be Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks, because they might not be. I mean, Foles won a Super Bowl, so there's things like that. But I really think that with the addition of our offensive line, with the addition of Brock Bowers, and bringing in Michael Gallup, he's a good receiver. I don't Devontae Adams replacement or anything like that, but I really think that we're adding these weapons in a way that you know, pretty much any decent quarterback should be able to succeed in this offense. And really, we won most of our games last year through our defense. And so, if we're having our offense just put up some decent points, right? Between 20 and 25 points, if we can at least put that on the board and our defense shows up the way it did last year, I mean, I think that we're going to win some games because of that. There's going to be a QB debate in the nation. I think we're going to have split fans all the way up until we get that franchise quarterback that we solidify as our starter moving forward. But even then, there's going to be people that say, "Oh, well, this isn't the guy. We shouldn't be rolling forward with him." Like, imagine if Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell ends up winning that position and solidifying themselves as the starter moving forward, right? And then all of a sudden, we're not even looking for a QB. There's going to be people that are pissed about that, right? Draft a QB, there's going to be people like this year that were like, "Oh, we shouldn't draft a QB. Like, we already have a QB," and then, okay, let's say we get a good starter in that position. Then we're going to have the other people that are like, "Well, this guy's not even as good as Carr was. We should have never moved on from Carr." Right. And then somebody's going to pop in and say, "We should still bring in Tom Brady." So we're always going to have that kind of debate. Um, and that's just, it is what it is, especially with now that we have social media and we got content creators on YouTube. It gives people a platform to really speak their opinion. And I think that people have always kind of had these opinions. Like, I remember there was people, I first became a Raider fan in 2001, right? And I remember there was people that were talking shit about Rich Gannon, and saying like, "This isn't our guy. Why do we have him?" And now he's in the debate for, is he the greatest Raiders quarterback of all time? And so there's always that kind of split going on. It is what it is. um why are people wanting to move on from AOC? And I've seen a lot of people talking about, let's trade him, let's this and that. And I don't think that that's a good idea. We have him on a rookie deal. He was a fourth round pick. So we have him on the cheap. So why are we going to move on from him, right? And I think that this is a guy that's proven that he develops and he grows. He went in to Purdue as eighth on the depth chart, right? And he had to fight and claw his way to that number one spot. And now it's his job to lose. Some people are saying, "Oh, it's Gardner's job to lose," but it's not. It's Gardner's job to win, right? And if Gardner Minshew really is that guy, he's going to go out there and win it. But Aiden O'Connell, man, I've been watching his tape breakdowns, man, and I've really seen some good stuff out of him, especially like he was thrown in a weird situation. And if he can really develop his game now throughout the offseason, I really could see him as being a guy that takes a huge leap in year two. And he's not like a 20-year-old quarterback either. I think he's 25 now. So, I think that he's of age where, he's going to show out on either, he's going to be that guy, or we're going to really get to see, okay, he's not, and we need to find a quarterback. And that's part of the reason why I'm leaning towards starting Aiden O'Connell, because I want to see what he is, right? I want to see if he flops, right? If he flops, okay, cool. We got to get a quarterback. Or if he plays well enough that he's like, okay, we might have a Kirk Cousins on our hands. Cool, right? Kirk Cousins gets paid a lot of money and he doesn't win a lot of playoff games, right? But he's considered to be a good quarterback. Even Devontae Adams talks really good about him, man. Let's see. AP grabbed him with the belief Bradley Reed's defense is really good. That's what I heard. That's really good to know. I think you're talking about Gus Bradley, right? And when you have a defensive coordinator as a dad, I think it gives you kind of a one up, right? Where you're going to be learning about defenses in a different kind of way. And I really like that, diversity when it comes to learning styles. I think that sometimes you can have somebody that's learning in a different kind of way, and it shows out to just really be this kind of groundbreaking thing that people start seeing as the norm moving forward. And that's one of the things I saw in a lot of tape where, both the quarterbacks that we have in this battle right now, Aiden O'Connell does a pretty good job of reading defenses, and Gardner Minshew, I mean, I think that he's really underrated. I think he was like a 6th round pick, and there's like several reasons why he's become this journeyman quarterback. but like in his tape, I saw a lot of good reads on his part, but I also saw a lot of like missed throws that were just like, what did he do there? What was he even looking at? See, uh, Chris, if you don't have a superstar QB and don't know what style of offense we're running, you need them to compete. And that's another thing, right? Is like then there's going to be this thing where if these quarterbacks don't do well, half of the nation is going to say, it's the quarterbacks. I told you guys we needed a better starting quarterback, and then other people are going to say, no, it's Gus Bradley. I mean, not Gus Bradley, Luke Getzey. Luke Getzey is he did awful with the Bears and he's doing awful here, and so like we're gonna have those debates moving forward. No matter what we do, if they succeed, people are gonna say, see, I told you AOC was the man. And some people are gonna say, see, it was Justin Fields and Luke Getzey is the reason why we're succeeding. And I really think that if we move forward with a level of success, right? If we have a winning season this year, I think that the majority of the kudos is going to need to go to Antonio Pierce. And that's how I really feel. And then, you move down the line of because everybody's going to have to get their flowers, right? you know, this coordinator really showed up well in this way. This coach really showed up well in that way. This unit really showed out and they held together the defense, right? Or the defense as a whole really just showed out and won us games. Or the offense really stepped it up this year. I there's going to be flowers that have to be given to everybody. So if the flowers will go out in that way, I really think that if we're going to be pointing blame, oh, it's Aiden O'Connell's fault. Oh, it's Luke Getzey's fault. It's Gardner Minshew's fault. Then I think that we have to look all the way down the line of who fell short, right? And I think that that's part of the whole thing. You have such a large staff and it's such a big team sport that you can't just pin the failure on one person, and we saw that happening with Derek Carr, where everybody's like, oh, it's Derek Carr's fault and he just sucks, and I don't think it was just his fault. I also don't think that necessarily we'd be better off if we had kept Carr. I don't really know, right? I think that, since it's not like basketball where you can have Kobe Bryant putting up 80 points, you know, we saw the Chiefs, even though they won a Super Bowl last year, they really struggled throughout the regular season because they were having so many drops, and so Patrick Mahomes can't just run it in for a touchdown every play, right? Like it's not going to work that way. He has to have an offensive line. He has to have receivers that can catch the ball. He has to have a running back that can, go get those first downs. And he also needs a defense that's going to keep the other team from outscoring them. It is what it is. Happy Friday to the nation. Yep. TGI Friday podcast live, right? So you guys let me know. I'm looking at, trying to do a thing every Friday. I don't work on Fridays. And I know for me, I love to listen to content creators on YouTube while I'm at work. So let me know what's a good time that works for you guys. I'm looking at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I hope it doesn't conflict with too many other people's. I haven't really seen other content creators that consistently go live at that time. So if you guys know of one and it conflicts, let me know, man, because I know for me, man, if I see two people live at the same time, it's hard for me to choose, right? I'm like, and sometimes I'll have like I'll have Mitch up on one screen and I'll have graphic up on another screen. And when it kind of starts fizzling over here a little bit, I'll mute that one and I'll listen to this one. And so like sometimes I have to choose like that, and so let me know. 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So I guess that's what 12 o'clock Pacific and 3 o'clock Eastern. So let me know if that's a good time for you guys for every week, man. TGI Raiders Friday live. Yeah, some QBs do better in certain offenses, and there was like, I saw this thing where they were talking about with Luke Getzey and Justin Fields that basically Luke Getzey was trying to get Justin Fields to play like Aaron Rodgers, and that's just not his style of play. Justin Fields he was holding onto the ball twice as long as any other quarterback, right? And so when you have that kind of thing happening, that's not how Aaron Rodgers plays, right? Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out quickly. And I know that we struggled a little bit with Aiden O'Connell holding on to the ball a little bit too long last year, but it was also his rookie season. We had Bo Hardegree calling plays. There was just a lot of factors into that, right? And Garner Minshew has shown that he's pretty good at getting the ball off quick. And so if we have these guys really getting the ball out there quick, running two tight end sets with the kind of weapons that we have, somebody's going to be open, right? And it's not like, oh, somebody's open, right? But like let's get real, right? With Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Devontae Adams, Michael Gallup, and then also the running backs and play. Like, I mean, there's just so many different avenues that you can go on each play. Like, and that's another thing I saw out of the tape that I was watching on both Minshew and Aiden O'Connell is that their reads are really good. They're really good at going their progressions, right? And they go to the next one and the next one and really being able to make a play. And if we have this much talent on our offense, there's no reason why we're not going to be having good quarterback play, right? At least decent enough to where we're winning games. And that's all that really matters, right? We don't need necessarily a superstar quarterback that's throwing for 400 yards and throwing 6 touchdowns, right? Would it be nice? Yeah, but if the rest of our team is showing up the way that they need to show up, especially our defense, then what we're going to have is, if we have a quarterback that's, throwing for, you know 250, 300 yards, getting at least 2 touchdowns, I think that we're going to be all right. Fit is everything, and that's big, right? And I really think that both these quarterbacks are going to play better in Luke Getsy's scheme than what Justin Fields did. And I really think that Justin Fields is going to play better in Pittsburgh than he did for the Bears. And I think Luke Getsy is also going to do better in Las Vegas than he did with the Bears. Honestly, I think that both we're going to see improvement. There's been some debate on, well, maybe we'll see, maybe it was Luke Getsy that was messing up that offense, or maybe it was Justin Fields, and we'll get to see. I think that both sides are going to do better because they just weren't a good fit for each other. Let's see. The good thing is Raiders have the foundation set now. It's up to AOC or Minshew to take advantage. And that's exactly it, right? And that's what I was saying a while ago is that, like, these guys really need to just step up and take advantage of the situation that they're in because both guys weren't really, I don't think, meant to be in a role where they're fighting for a starting position, right? And with the roster that we have and the setup that we have right now, one of these guys could solidify themselves as a long-term starting quarterback. And if they don't show out this year, they're going to be career backup. And that's just going to be what it is, right? And so I think that these guys know that, and I think that that's going to make them really just fight for this position. And I think that we're going to see really good play out of at least one of these guys because of that. Somebody was suggesting, well, why don't you play one quarter, then the other one the next quarter, and like I don't want to, I don't want to get involved in all that, man. Um, that could be a little wild, man. Spivey, what's up, man? Glad you made it, man. I think I'm a little bit behind on the chat, man. Welcome, glad you made it, man. Tadashi, first time I've seen your name up in the chat, man. Glad you made it. Glad you found me. It's cool. Let's see who we got over here. Raiders scapegoat is injuries every year. It's their excuse when the Raiders aren't winning, when every team has injuries, but the elite QBs still make the playoffs with injuries. You can't stop injuries. And that's why it's really important for us to have depth, right? And even having depth in the quarterback room. Last year, we saw a record year of backup quarterbacks starting games, right? And so really being in a position where we have honestly, I feel like we have the two best backups in the NFL, which, is a good position to be in and it's a bad position to be in. But really just knowing that if one of these guys goes down, the other one's going to be able to step in and still carry the load, like, pause if necessary. But that's really an amazing place for us to be in where we're not looking at having a Brian Hoyer as our backup. Dude, it drives me crazy that we rolled forward with Jimmy Garoppolo as QB1 and Brian Hoyer as QB2. I mean, that's just irresponsible, man. That was super irresponsible. yeah, Spivey, if our defense balls out, we can win with AOC and Gardner. And that's exactly true. I see us having a winning season. Um, I think it was Chris before the live began that was talking about, either a 10-7 or 11-6 season. And I was looking through the schedule's not out, right? But our opponents have been released. And I was looking at our opponents and I was trying to make a gauge on like, which games do I realistically think we're gonna win? And every year there's always one of those games that's like the surprise, right? Like when we lost to the Bears, right? With Tyler Badgett as the starter, and it's just like what happened in that game, right? And I think every year there's at least one of those games. But realistically, looking at our opponents, unless one of them really took a huge jump this year, I honestly could see us, winning 10, 11 games. I could really see that, and I might get proven wrong because, when I looked at it, I was like, man, that's like, I could see 12 wins, right? And then I was like, okay, realistically, we're going to lose at least one or two of those games that I think we should win. But then there's also those games where everybody thinks we're going to lose, like the Chiefs on Christmas, and then we went out and we beat them, right? And I really think that a big one that's going to be the tipping scale is the Chargers, because with Jim Harbaugh out there in his first year, I want to say that those are going to both be wins, but pretty much every year we split it with the Chargers. They win one, we win one. And I don't really, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh is going to make that big of a difference on that roster year one, right? Or if it's going to take a year or two for them to start getting in a spot where they're winning. I saw a projection, man. Actually, I saved it in my phone. I want to pull that up, man, because let's see, where is it, man? They really they did us dirty on this, right? It was Colin Cowherd, right? And he has us listed as number 4 in the division. And that's nasty, dude. I can't even believe that he would be looking at it like that. I mean, what, the Broncos got Bo Nix and they lost everybody else. The Chargers got Joe Alt and they lost everybody else. So, I don't really see those teams developing the way that everybody thinks they're going to this year, but I could see in the next couple of years of it turning into a thing where they are they're developing and growing as teams. I don't really think Bo Nix is ever going to be it in the NFL, especially as a number 12 pick, but he could surprise me, man. He could. See, many teams won with average QBs but had a stout defense. And I agree with that. And there's this whole mindset that's starting to develop in the NFL right now where people are like, defense doesn't win games. Good quarterback play wins games. And that's so weird, man. And history does not lie. I believe the defense wins games. You win games in the trenches, right? And if we have stout trenches, good defense, and at least a serviceable QB that can, not throw too many turnovers, don't fumble the ball, get some yards, get us in scoring range, right? Get a couple, I mean, especially if we have better red zone than we had previously, that's another thing, right? Carr played with 30 ranked defense, and there were so many years where like Carr played really well, right? I don't think he was ever the same after breaking his leg, but really, I mean, he never really had a defense to back him up that was really, really that good. I think the year he broke his leg, we had a pretty decent defense, but there was a lot of times where, okay, cool, we have this pretty good quarterback that, because we didn't have it all through the whole entire team, it just wasn't going to happen for us, And so, like, being in a position now where every other layer of the team is just in place and in a really good place, I think that, kind of like the 49ers, where it almost didn't even matter what quarterback they had, they were winning games. And I really hope that we can develop into a team that's like that, because then when you do find your quarterback, then you make it to the Super Bowl, right? Let's see, it's the fault of 53 men and coaches plus owners. Yep. Everybody. That's why there's that big thing all the way down to the janitor. They say like doesn't matter who's in the building. Like everybody has to be bought in, and I really, really believe that. Yeah, best defense Carr had was 22nd ranked. Yeah, and wasn't that the 2016 year? I think that's when that was. You know, it's rough. We averaged 30 plus points with Carr, but let other teams score 35. If you don't have that defense that's going to put a stop, right, and make them punt the ball and create turnovers and keep them, kicking field goals and things like that, like then you're going to be in a position where, yeah, it doesn't matter how many points you put on the board. If the other team puts up more, it's going to be an L. Man, I'm behind, right? I'm seeing when you guys talking about works for me anytime. Yeah, I think I'm going to be shooting for this same time every Friday. And we'll probably make adjustments if we see like, that where I don't want to be stepping on other people. I don't want to be in this weird position where it's not working out for people that want to join the live. So, we'll see how it goes, man. Let's see, if you spread out the games, we have QBs that only score 1 or 2 touchdowns a game, but mostly one TD elite QB score 30 and up every year. Those are the QBs in the playoffs consistently. That's why Carr sucked. I think that really, as long as we're putting up um, over 20 points a game, we really stand a chance to win a whole lot more games, right? I mean, we were like the lowest average points per game. Oh, almost lowest, right? Uh, Under 20 points. I think our average was like 17 or something at one point. Like that was just nasty. We just could not put up enough points to win games. And even though we were holding teams to low scores, like that Vikings game, there's no way we should have lost that Vikings game. They only scored 3 points. Nasty, nasty, man. Friday's perfect. Cool, man. All right, we're gonna keep this TGI Raiders Friday live going. We have weapons of mass pointage. Yeah, Chris. There we go, man. With these weapons, these quarterbacks got to be able to get the ball to somebody. See, someone asked on graphs, can we beat the sack record this year? Realism and goals are two different things. Bears 1984, 72 sacks is crazy. So try to realize our D good. But and I must have missed that part, man. I was in the barbershop, while Graph was live. And so I only caught, bits and pieces here and there. I didn't have my earbuds with me. And so, and I like to chop it up with my barber, man. He's been cutting my hair for 13 years already, man, and so like, our kids were born in the same month. Like we got a lot of good connections over there, right? So I like to be present for that. But I was bummed out when I saw Graph was like, I was like, man, and I was on my way to a haircut, and it is what it is. But you're right, Nav, man. 72 sacks, that's pretty intense. I see some people are projecting us to be, in the 50 plus sacks range. That would be amazing, and I hope that that's true. With the way that our defense is right now, I could definitely see it being possible. But I don't know, man. There's so many times where I think that Max Crosby is going to come out of a game with several sacks, and he's out there and he's grinding and just can't get home and can't get home, But really, they're going to be taking the double teams off of Max Crosby. They're not going to be able to play the same way that they have. And I think that our whole defensive line is going to show up. Plus, we got some guys that can come back, with our safeties and DBs and even linebackers that can get up there and get some sacks. So I think that if Patrick Graham really plays his cards right and throws in some surprise blitzes at the right times, I think that our sack rate is definitely going to go up. Let's see. AP brought in Minshew because he knows he can win, and really the fact that we're going for a quarterback in the first round really tells me that they're not sold on these quarterbacks, right? But I really like that they brought in Minshew, because then we're not just rolling into the season with like Aiden O'Connell and Chase Garber's kind of situation, right? It's like we have at least if nothing else, we have a quarterback battle, and we're not put in this position where, yeah, he's got the job, but we're not even sure if he's our guy, right? At least we have the battle. And so I'm grateful for that piece. Do I wish that we had a for sure clear cut quarterback who's definitely going to ball out? Yeah, of course, right? But I'm not really mad about the position that we're in, because we could have definitely got left hung out to dry. It's like that whole thing that happened when Josh McDaniels cut Derek Carr, and I think his plan was to bring in Brady, right? Whatever his plan was, it didn't work out, and then as like a scramble, try to clean this up last minute, he brought in Jimmy Garoppolo, just convinced this guy knows the system and so it's going to work. And not really being able to look at the fact that we went into last year with an injured quarterback who's definitely washed, Brian Hoyer, don't even have to say anything about that. And then a fourth round QB. Like, yeah, of course our quarterback room was going to be all messed up. That was just an awful plan. So we're not getting ourselves into that kind of same position this year. I think that we're better off in our quarterback room this year than last year for sure. I would say Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are both better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I really do. Let's see. My 2 cents. Quality depth is warranted to sustain an injury. We got to have that depth, and I really think, we still got a couple of spots left on our roster, and I think that they're going to add some more depth. Um, I know that we signed some more corners in the UDFA's and some wide receivers. I really think that both those positions might be where they're going to focus on with picking up some free agents, but I don't really know. I mean, Hunter Renfro's off the table. He went to the Bills. Odell Beckham Jr. He went to Miami. So I don't really know what they're looking at when it comes to that. I'm hoping that we end up with a Xavier Howard or Dory Jackson. One of these guys in the corner room because, I mean, I think Jacorian Bennett's good, and I really think that he's going to play a lot better this year than he did last year. But I don't know how I feel about rolling forward with him as our corner one. I'd rather bring in one of these vets on a 1 year deal, maybe a Stephon Gilmore, and then let him develop a little bit more. And then maybe in year 3 is really when he can kind of come out and take that spot. Um, and then, yeah, man. DeCamerion, I think that he's got some good upside, but I don't think that he's NFL ready. I really don't. Even though we took him in the fourth, I don't think he's there yet. Let's see, sacks are great, but pressures and interceptions are the answer. And I think that they're going to have that pressure on almost every, I mean, let's face it, like every possession, there's going to be several pressures on the quarterback. There's no way that this defensive line isn't constantly putting pressure on that quarterback, even just the presence of some of these players being out there. I mean, I know if I'm lining up, and I'm taking a snap and I know Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins are right there. I'm gonna be I'm gonna I'm gonna be a little bit worried about that, right? And if any quarterbacks aren't worried about that, then I don't know, man. Maybe they've been get checked for CTE or something, man. I know I would be worried for sure. Let's see. It took Harbaugh 3 years to win. Yeah, I don't think that they're going to show out right away, and a lot of these like analysts and stuff are like trying to make it like, oh, Jim Harbaugh's there, they're going to be a winning organization immediately. They saw Justin Herbert, and it's like, yeah, but he's throwing to a bunch of rookies for the most part. So, and their running back room isn't as good. They actually declined in a lot of areas. So yes, you have a better coach, but I don't think it's going to translate right away. I think it's going to take a couple years, and then I don't know, man. Let me know if you guys know anything about like the rumors on the Joe Alt thing. I saw a meme that went out that Joe Alt's talking trash about Max Crosby, which I don't think is really true. I haven't found any articles that actually show like that this is legit that he actually said this. I think that's just Chargers fans trying to put something out there. But if he really said something like that, man, ooh, you better watch out, man. Max Crosby's not going to mess around. Yeah, Cowherd is a douche. um, Yeah, man. Definitely gonna put on some intense pressure. Man, I'm trying to catch up on the chat, man. I'm behind. I am definitely behind. Cowherd is a Cowboy fan. Didn't know that. Makes sense. It's why ESPN wants nothing to do with him. And really, we're in a spot where these mainstream media guys, they always talk bad about us, man. I don't remember the last time I saw them talking about the Raiders in a good way. I don't, man. Bo is a bust waiting to happen. Bo Nix, I think you're talking about. And I think that that's what's going to happen. Love that the Broncos drafted Bo. He's going to get smoked. Honestly, I think with Bo Nix, I think I saw a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo kind of stuff, right? I really think that when we're playing the Broncos, if we just stack the box, he's shown that most of his throws are very short. I think the majority of them were behind the line of scrimmage, even. And so like I did see some stuff where they're talking about him having a good deep ball, but not utilizing it very often. And some people say it's Bo Nix. Some people say that it was the team that he was on, and their just offensive scheme didn't call for that. And I think that we're really going to get to see because if he's not being able to throw that deep ball, then teams can just do what they did against Garoppolo. Stack the box and make him throw it deep. Let's see. Two wins versus Denver for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's going to be a given. Um, Hopefully, we can get 2 wins out of the Chargers too, and then at least split it with the Chiefs. I would love if we beat the Chiefs twice, right? I'm not going to go in with an unrealistic expectation, but if we can at least split it with them, we're in a good position, man. Yeah, I can't wait to watch this defensive line. Yeah, going at Bo Nix, man. He better be ready, man. This defensive line is just incredibly stacked, and I, it just baffles me that for so many years it's just been like Max Crosby and nobody else, right? And he just really didn't have help. And there was a lot of hope when Chandler Jones came on of like finally there's somebody opposite Max Crosby, and now we just we're hurting because we don't have somebody up the middle. Well, now we have somebody all the way across the board and depth, right? So man, I'm just excited to see what that really looks like this year. Hot take, we win our division. Man, I would be excited. I don't know if that's in the cards for us, but man, can you imagine with Aiden O'Connell or Garner Minshew if we were to win our division? Like, what are people going to say then? You know, are they going to say yes? Our QBs showed up, or are they gonna have some negative spin on it? I've been noticing a lot of stuff, man, especially like, getting into creating content on YouTube. Plus, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, on X. I'm not as active on Instagram or X as I am on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, just seeing like the comments that come out, and there's a whole lot of negativity in our fan base, man. Like I had seen some of it before, but like being on this side of things, like it's really really clear how many people are negative in the nation. And I think that part of it is just when you have so many years of just getting let down and thinking, okay, that's going to be the move, now we're going to be good, and oh, it blew up, and oh well, now we got this, and then it blew up, and then you got the Jamarcus Russell years, and you got all this. It's like we've had several decades of just really, it's been rough, but like for me it's like I've never given up on the nation. It's like even though there was times where I didn't watch as much as I do today, it's like I've always been able to hold on to that hope that like I don't give up on this team. Win, lose, or tie, Raider Nation till I die. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna put Kermit on his, how do you say it, jabroni ass. Oh man. Let's see. Oh, dang. Raider Deb, what's up? Welcome to the building. Happy Friday, right? TGI Raiders Friday Live. That's going to be a thing, man. Mark it. Let's see. It's funny how Raider fans think just because our defense beat backups for QBs, we beat Mahomes, but so did the Broncos by more points. Now you have all the elite quarterbacks are back. Burrow, Lamar. And that's something that we're really going to see, right? But whether we're playing against the Chiefs, starters, backups, what we all got to see was when AP came on and, that fire was ignited in our defense, they played hard, and it wasn't just like, oh, that team made a mistake and that's why our defense showed up, right? It was like they were causing disruption. They were coming with ill intent and violence, right? And I just love to see what's going to happen moving forward. 50. Man, I miss what you're talking about, Nav, man. What's the good goal? 50. Micah L., welcome to the building, man. Glad you made it. you know, I don't hate on I don't even know how to say your name, Guarb. I don't hate, man. There's always a lot of negativity coming. Still got love for you, man. And you're entitled to your opinion. I can't always be looking at the bright side of things all the time. I am a generally positive looking person, but we got to get realistic sometimes. But never do I find myself in a spot where I just am overly cynical, overly negative. I like to keep some balance in there, a little bit of negative, definitely some positive. Try to stay pretty level for the most part. Let me see. Have not seen a barber in 30 years. Man, neither has my brother, man, but I am in there at least every other week. Definitely. Every other Friday, right? So I'll be going from the barbershop into a live every other week. See Max in the Elite 20 range. Dude, yeah, Max. Dude. And then, yeah, Kuntz, man. Kuntz is. You thinking Kuntz getting 8 sacks, or what are you talking about that he had 8 sacks? Kuntz really finally showed up, right? And Graphic had always been talking about Malcolm Kuntz. Malcolm Kuntz. We need to get some playing time for Malcolm Kuntz. And I really didn't know too much about Malcolm Kuntz. I was like, yeah, I trust his word. But, he finally got his shot and he showed out. And I'm really hoping that we have some of these other players on our defense that are going to be taking those big steps, right? Because Kuntz took that huge leap. And, if we can see like a Jacorian Bennett or some of these guys taking that leap as well, man, it's going to be crazy. Overall sacks for the year, 60 to 67. Chad Smith, mark it down. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I think that we're definitely going to get a lot more sacks than we have the last couple of years. That's just a fact. But man, I would love to see that. Let's see. Point blank, we added depth and we are in pretty good shape. Just my opinion. Michael, you're not wrong, right? And that was one of the big things because coming up before the draft, people were talking about we have all these holes. We can't trade up for a QB because we have too many holes. Well, we didn't trade up for a QB. We filled some of these holes with really good players in the draft. Plus, we added depth in both draft and we brought on some UDFAs that could potentially make this roster. So I think that we're really in a good position, especially, I think it's 3 spots that we have left. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we have tons of money still. I think we have 15 million after the Michael Gallup signing. And then after post June 1st, we're going to get another 24 million, right? So what's that, 39 million dollars to work with still. I don't think that they're just going to throw up their hands and say, it's close enough, right? We still have that money. I don't see why we wouldn't go out and get at least 1 or 2 more free agents that can really fill in some of these roster spots as starters, right? Or if there's debate on is Michael Gallup going to be the wide receiver 3, or do we still need to get a wide receiver 3 and put Michael Gallup as wide receiver 4? I, at this point, I don't see us pulling in a better receiver than him. Who's even on the list on free agents for wide receivers? Because I know that Hunter Renfrow and Odell Beckham were some of the names that people had been talking about, but both of them are off the board now. So, we'll see what's up with that. After June 1st, we probably make moves, and that's exactly right. If we wait for one, we'll have that money, but then we get to see who else comes free at that point because there's usually some other players that become available at that point. So I'm not going to be mad if we wait. I would like to see us go and get Xavier Howard right now before another team picks him up, right? Because there's bound to be another team that has some June 1st money coming, and they're probably just hoping that he's going to be available at that point. We bring him on. He's got some familiarity with Patrick Graham, with some of our players on our defense already. I think it would be great to see that. And then we'll still have plenty of money for them post June 1st stuff. If we get more than 67 sacks, I will donate my autographed Jack Tatum jersey to you. That's a big one, man. That is a big one. Um, I'd be excited, man. Yeah, we definitely have good defensive backs, man. Defensive back and cornerback coach. Um, and we're gonna see what really shows out with that. Because that's like the room on our defense that I've heard the most people talk negatively about, right? Like, well, our corners are all right, but we don't really have that corner one, But Brandon Faison's still on our roster, and he didn't play last year from injury. I don't know if they're looking at him, if they're looking at Jacorian Bennett, and they're just hoping that one of these guys on our roster steps up, or if we're going to bring in one of those free agents. I don't really know. I think AOC has already made great strides. He shucked the history of number 4 and hard at it in the gym to slim the fat and get more mobile. And yeah, I mean, he's looking better already. I was hearing that he only took 2 weeks off and then started hitting it right away. So yeah, I'm excited to see. It sounds to me like he's putting in the necessary work. Just because somebody puts in the necessary work does not mean it's going to translate, does not mean it's going to really show in their game, but usually it does, right? And so I really think that he's going to be a better quarterback this year than he was at the end of last season. And so if he can start off on a higher level of play than he ended the season with, and he ended the season on good play. I think it was 9 touchdowns versus 1 interception, right? And so if that trend continues and he's not throwing those picks and he's not making those fumbles, yeah, dude, I really think that he'll show out in a great way. Joe, you heard Joe is going to the Chargers. What Joe? What Joe we talking about? Yo, are you talking about the Woodson? The Woodson signed jersey? Man, I'm behind on the chat. I'm gonna try to catch up a little bit, man. Let's see, Chad, how many QBs get their career ended because of our defense? Well, I don't know. I don't know, man, because are you talking about QBs on the other end getting their career ended by us? Or are you talking about QBs that we've had that just didn't have a defense and their career went down the tubes? I don't know. Let me know what you're talking about on that, Chad. Rookie tackle in division, bad talking Max is dangerous twice a year. Yeah, I don't know that he's really bad talking Max. I saw a thing on Facebook that was talking about it. I don't know if that's really true. If that is true, that is a bad position to take. I wouldn't want to bad talk Max, man. If I had to go against him twice a year, uh. See, Bo could not throw the ball at Auburn. I'm not really convinced on Bo Nix, and a lot of people were saying that he should have been a second round. And I think that's really going to show out pretty quick because Bo Nix he's experienced enough that he should be their year one starter, and it shouldn't be like Bo Nix needs to develop kind of situation. I think that if he doesn't show up right away and play well, I don't think he ever will. But I could be wrong, because I just heard myself, and I think Aiden O'Connell is going to play better than he did last year. So the truth that's probably true for Bo Nix as well. I think that's true for any quarterback. Correcting myself. Let me see. Dang, I am like way behind. I'm gonna need a moderator, man. I'm getting way too behind. Let's see. Oh, you guys just talking with each other, huh? That's what's going on. I love that. Love that. Sometimes I'll be in a live and I'm more caught up in the chat than I am with whatever content creator is talking about at that point, right? Virginia Hernandez, what is going on with you, man? Chiefs will win another Super Bowl this year. Get that out of here. See, the longtime fans know what to expect. The new fans think they're just going to come in and we're going to win regardless, and it doesn't take work like that. You know, I've been around too long to really just have unrealistic expectations of our team. Do I think we're going to have a winning season this year? I really do. Do I think we'll make the playoffs? I really do. Do I think we're going to the Super Bowl? I don't have those expectations. You know, and I'm not saying that I don't think it's possible, right? Because it is possible. I don't have that expectation, right? I'm not going to be punching my TV if we fall short and don't make it, right? That's not going to be the case for me. Let's see. The herd spreads the bad look for the Raiders. It's embarrassing because you have the world hear it and they believe it. We have to stop giving them a reason to talk shit and allow it by being terrible. That's exactly it, man. You know, we got to be able to show out. And Virginia, I agree with you. The Raiders should have grabbed a QB. Um, it sounds like there was actually less effort than what was originally thought. You know, like they did try to move up to get Jane Daniels. That didn't work out. And then, there was rumors that we had tried to move up with the Falcons to get Michael Penix Jr. But, now reports are starting to look more like they were looking to get Michael Penix at 13, and then the Falcons just threw a wrench and everything and picked him up. And so then they said, well, we're not going to get any of the other quarterbacks. Tom Telesco said himself that if they believed that any of those quarterbacks in the later rounds were as good or better, um or no, were better or could be better than the quarterbacks that we already had, that they would have picked them up. But they did not believe that in those later rounds quarterbacks. Two names that keep popping up are Dak Prescott and Tom Brady, but I don't know if that holds any water. I don't want Dak Prescott. Um, I just don't. He's a good quarterback. Um, he struggles in the playoffs. He struggles when it's really crunch time. And he costs way too much money. If for some reason we could get Dak Prescott on like a cheap deal, yeah, bring him. But to pay that much for Dak Prescott, I don't really want that. And then Brady, I think this whole thing with Aiden O'Connell taking the number 12, I think that could kind of kill the Brady talk at this point, because if there was a chance Brady was going to come on, they would make sure that number 12 was available for him. Yeah, there wasn't a QB worth it at that point, right? There really just wasn't. Let's see, Burrow needs to prove that he can stay healthy. That's a big problem that they're having over there, and that was a lot of people's fears with Jane Daniels. Same with Anthony Richardson. Like, Anthony Richardson was one of those guys that I thought was going to fall further. And honestly, last year I wanted to pick him up. I was like, man, if he falls, yeah, let's get him, because I think that he has a high upside. But the problem is that when you have a quarterback that can't stay healthy, and I knew that this guy was probably going to get injured, because even though he's a big dude, I mean, you can't play like that at the NFL level. These guys are going to smash you. And I mean, what does Honda always say? Your best ability is availability, right? And so it doesn't matter how good of a player they are. If they can't stay on the field, then it does you no good. So it doesn't matter how good Joe Burrow is. If he can't stay healthy, then he's basically not even on the roster. Scorned fan, hard to be optimistic, but I'm excited for this offseason for the first time in forever. And that's great. I think that a lot of the moves that the Raiders have been doing, I've been seeing a lot of fans that have been kind of disheartened with the franchise for several years are starting to kind of like see all the glitter and the hype of what's going on right now, right? And it's like, if we're feeling that energy, I could only imagine the actual feeling of the energy inside that locker room, right? Because these guys are so bought in and I mean, I think that they're convinced, I really do. Let's see. Trying to catch up, you guys, trying to catch up. I'll get better at this. Kuntz is getting 10 to 15 sacks. Dang, Chris. If I think that Kuntz definitely could, especially because there's going to be so much attention on Crosby and Christian Wilkins that Kuntz is going to be able to be sneaky on this other side and get in. Um, if Kuntz has that kind of season, I really do think that we're not going to be able to re-sign him. I think that he's going to command a payday at that point, and I don't know that we'll keep him. Which I don't know if Tyree Wilson is the plan for the outside at that point, what we're really looking at. But yeah, if Kuntz has that kind of year, it's going to be hard to keep him on our roster. But I definitely think it's a big possibility, man. Let's see, Virginia. I gotta say it. 6 QBs got took in those first 12 picks, and really there wasn't other QBs that were worth going out to get. And I don't think that they thought anybody was worth trading up besides Jane Daniels. I that's where I stood. I didn't want to see us, getting rid of a bunch of draft capital to go up and get a JJ McCarthy or somebody like, even Michael Penix with his injury history is like, if we can get him at 13, cool. And the Broncos, the Vikings, and the Raiders were all three on a conference call, and they were telling each other we don't have to move up because they said, okay, I want this quarterback. They said, okay, I want that one and I want that one. Okay, cool. None of us have to move up. Let's just kick back. We'll all get our quarterbacks. Everything will be good. And then the Falcons threw in a wrench. They picked up Michael Penix, which caused the Vikings to panic. They moved up. They said, we're going to just go get our guy before the Raiders jump up there and get him, right? So, it is what it is. Honestly, I'm still happy, man. Let's see, ones we wanted that would be a good fit were gone. Getting Bowers is a good move. Powers also a great move. If I had known that we were going to end up with Powers in the second round, it would have been great to go get Fuaga and then Powers next to him. But I think that if we had picked up Fuaga, that Powers might not have fallen as far as he did. I think that the 6 quarterbacks going in the top 12, and then us picking up Brock Bowers, it really pushed a lot of those players that were projected, to go first round back a little bit. I mean, Bowers was supposed to go before we got him, and it was only because of that run on quarterbacks that we were able to get him. And honestly, in the next couple of years, I don't think anybody's gonna say that we made a bad choice with Brock Bowers. Man, he's a dog. Everyone is focused on the draft, but maybe the best addition was Christian Wilkins. The man is a beast. I honestly think that was our best move. The addition of Christian Wilkins is going to totally change our entire defense, especially because he's such a good run blocker. I mean, how many games have you guys watched where it's like the other team stops throwing the ball and they just start running it down their throat, right? And every time I see it coming, I'm like, damn, they're going to do another running play. And sure enough, boom, 15-yard run. Oh man, they're going to do a running play. Boom, 12-yard run, right? And it's like, dude, like what's going on? We just cannot stop the run, And once teams figured that out, they just start running it down our throat and they'd go down and they'd score. Especially in the second half, man, it was nasty. So really having Christian Wilkins there in the middle, it's going to stop a lot of the run game, man. John Jenkins and Christian Wilkins. I mean, man, we're going to do a lot better on the run, which means, if we're stuffing the run, they're going to try to pass a little bit more, and which means that we have opportunity for sacks. And when you're creating that much pressure against quarterbacks, they're going to make mistakes and they're going to throw picks, you know? So our entire defense all the way down is going to be better just because of the addition of Christian Wilkins. Man, I got a little excited on that one. Let's see. Wilkins is having fun out there too, man. You could see it on those videos that they've been posting. He's excited. Just tuning in. God, family, and Raiders for life. Glad you made it, man. I just saw you over there on Graphics Show, man. Welcome to the building. Yeah, we have sucked against the run, man. We have. You know, and I think that he's going to make the most impact. You're right. My 2 cents, you were definitely right about that. I think Christian Wilkins is going to make the most impact. I think Powers Johnson might not have as much of an impact year one as he does years 2 and 3. But I do, I forget who it was, man, that was kind of like talking bad on Powers Johnson on that. It wasn't really that great of a pick, and they don't know if he's going to translate to the NFL. But really, like, that's not what I see. I mean, I watched a lot of tape. There's a lot of tape available on him, right? A lot of different breakdowns, a lot of just, and so I was watching some stuff on him, and you know, just with the addition of him to our interior offensive line, everybody next to him is going to play better just because of that. Honestly, I think that he'd be better at center than guard, but I did watch some tape on him as guard, and he plays well at guard as well. So I really think that, with that addition to our offensive line, everybody is going to play better. We're going to have a better run game because of it. We're going to have better utilization of our tight ends because of it, and then they brought in, dude, I can't remember his name. Cody Whitehair. They brought in Cody Whitehair from the Bears, right? And I don't think that they brought him in to be a starter. I think that they brought him in that way he can help Luke Getsy get this offensive line on the same page when it comes to the scheme and how to do all that stuff. So I think more he's a depth piece that's going to help this line really just show out better. And also it provides some competition in there, right? And also I also see it being one of those like Gardner Minshew. Brought in Gardner Minshew just in case we weren't able to go out and draft a quarterback. Well, you bring in Cody Whitehair just in case we don't end up with an interior offensive lineman in the draft. But we got that guy. Let's see. Man, I should have eaten before I gone on. I haven't eaten all day, man. Stomach just let me know. They did try to trade up. They did try to trade up for Daniels. You can't buy if somebody's not selling, right? I would have loved to see Jane Daniels here. If you watch on my channel, I had a lot of videos where I was pounding the table for Jane Daniels, and I really believed that we were going to go get him. And they did try. I don't know. They haven't released what the offer was yet. Maybe they didn't offer enough. But really, what it came down to is the Commanders were convinced that they wanted Jaden Daniels, and so they got him. And they didn't try to move up for anybody else, I guess. AOC 12. Man, I'm really happy about that number change. Honestly, I think he gets to get out from the shadow of Derek Carr and just kind of show up as him this year. So no matter what that looks like, it's going to be better for him. See, I feel the Raiders need a vet DB, and Surtain looks just every part to be a Raider. Hope Denver will part with him while his trade value is good. Surtain, I mean, I don't know that they'll let him go. I would love to bring him on. We definitely have the cap space to do that. Devontae Adams was talking really good about Surtain on the Rush podcast with Max Crosby. I would love to see us get like a true lockdown corner. That corner one it's really missed. And that's why I was surprised that there was still some good corners on the board when we picked up DJ Glaze. I was really confused because I really thought that they were going to go corner. I understand why they made the pick, but I would have liked to see us get a corner at that spot better. See, Bowers and JPJ solid and should contribute from the get-go, but Wilkins is a blue chip on D. that will have the most impact without a question. Yeah, I mean Bowers and JPJ are definitely going to be day one impact guys. And we're probably not going to see the best out of them until years 2 or 3. But I could see somebody like a Bowers going, giving some competition or being in the running for rookie of the year. I really could, especially if we utilize him correctly. Like a lot of people say he's like kind of like a Kittle or Debo Samuel, Travis Kelsey. What I see is Christian McCaffrey. I was watching his tape on I had my computer and I had my phone, and I was watching side by side. I had Christian McCaffrey on one, and I had Brock Bowers in the other, and there were just so many things that I saw that were just so similar. It was just like, dude, like if we got somebody at that caliber in Brock Bowers, whew, man, I'm excited. Let me see. Dang, dude, I'm behind again, dude. I'm too slow on this. I'll learn how to catch up, you guys. If you're talking about Certain, yeah, that's what we were just talking about, man. Yeah, dude, that's exciting. I don't think that we need a top five quarterback to compete with Mahomes. I think that what we do need is a top five defense to compete with Mahomes because let's face it, no matter what quarterback we have, they can't stop Mahomes. A quarterback cannot stop Mahomes. We just need somebody that can put up enough points to where if our defense does a decent job of slowing Mahomes down, that we actually have enough points on the board to get the W. Do I think that we're in the best position that we could be? No, I don't. Would I love to see us bring in Devontae Adams, man, he's been talking really good about other quarterbacks, right? He talked good about Kirk Cousins. He talked good about he posted about Jaden. He talked good about Jordan Love. And I'm not seeing a whole lot since the end of the season about him saying good things about Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. And I think that's really telling. But I mean, there's some people are speculating that Kirk Cousins isn't going to be happy with them bringing in Michael Penix, and we're going to go get him, and that's not going to be the case. That contract is just it's not something that we could do, man. It's just not. Let's see, back to work. Have a great TGIF afternoon. All right, my 2 cents. We'll see you soon, man. Let's see. Hey, man, Navman, that would be great. I don't even know how to do that. I think I have to do it because I use StreamYard, and I don't even know if I could do it. I think I have to do it off of actual YouTube. Let me see. Yeah, man. Sorry about the dead air, guys. I'm trying to learn how to do this. Yeah, I don't really know. Did it do it? I think it just did it, man. Nav, man, I appreciate you, man. Definitely good to have you. Nav, man, I've seen you around for a while. I trust you to have good discernment. Because really, like whether somebody has negative opinions, positive opinions, like let's talk about all of it, right? That's what we're here for. But there's gonna be at some point where I've seen other guys' chats where there's some stuff that pops up in there that's like, oh, we got to get this person out of here, and so I trust you to have good discernment on that, man. Appreciate you. Boom, you got the wrench. Look at that. I see a wrench. Unceremoniously blocked. Virginia, are you a Chiefs fan? You a Raider fan? Because some of these people, man, they're Raider fans, but you would think that they're a fan of somebody else because they really wish that we had what those other teams have. And I don't blame them. Like, do I hate Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, I hate Patrick Mahomes. Um, if they said tomorrow, hey, officially today he's a Raider, I'd be pumped. I'd be super pumped. And that's the same reason why I hated Tom Brady is because he used to beat our ass. And so, like, would I be mad if we brought somebody on that? No. Do I like him? No, definitely not. Definitely don't root for him too. Let's see. Chris too, man. Chris, I'm gonna hit you with the wrench too, man. You've been like day one, dude. Cool. Awesome. Thank you guys. And we might end up putting some other moderators at another time. I think I'm gonna only add the two of you guys today, but I think at some point, man, probably gonna need some more help in there. Let's see. Man, I am behind. See, nothing on this planet gets my attention more than Raiders game at Denver or at KC. I want that week one. Man, I definitely want that. I'm actually debating because, I want to make it to at least one game this year, but I've been debating on if I'm going to go out to Denver because Denver is only a 5 hour drive for me, right? And so that's pretty decent. Vegas is probably more like I don't know, I think it's more like a 9 or 10 hour drive. So yeah, I've been debating going out to a game in Denver, man. We'll see if it's early in the year, maybe, because Denver gets way too cold, man, and they're outdoors, dude. I'm not trying to sit there in the snow around a bunch of donkey fans. Yeah, people get all hurt with me every time I go to Denver, man. I go raided out. People they love to talk shit, man. Fans in 76, man. Chris, you've been on it, man. 71 for Nav, man. You guys been in the game for a while, man. I think that's exactly. I love that God family and Raiders. Um, Jackson Powers Johnson being able to handle Chris Jones because Chris Jones knows how to pick on Andre James. He does, and when you have Andre James and Greg Van Roten next to him, that is the weak point right there, right there in that A gap. Um, that's a nasty spot. So that's why, like, some people are talking about that we're gonna put Jackson Powers Johnson on the left side next to Colton Miller, which isn't a bad idea. But I really think if we left Parham there and then we put Jackson Powers Johnson on the right side next to Mumford, because really Jackson Powers Johnson is going to make the two people next to him play better, right? And so then if he's there to help out Mumford and Andre James, I think that's really where we have the biggest hole. So that's what I would like to see. Who do you think will have the biggest breakout performance this season? Man, that one's hard to say. Originally, I was thinking it was going to be Trey Tucker, right? Trey Tucker, he's a speedster. I think he's a good receiver, and I think that he's gonna turn into a really good player for us. But now with um, Brock Bowers coming in, I don't know if that's gonna hinder him a little bit or if it's gonna make it to where he's even better, right? Because if people are really concerned with Brock Bowers, that might give Trey Tucker the opportunity to kind of slip in there in the slot and make some really good plays. Or they're looking at, we got Devontae and Myers and Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. They're looking at them for short to mid passes, and then boom, Trey Tucker's just way down there. So I think that a lot of that's going to depend on that. Um, I Are we talking about biggest breakout of our rookies or people on our roster? Because I was thinking about people on our roster, and so I was thinking about Jacorian Bennett as well. But if we're looking at our rookies, I think it I think it's gonna be Brock Bowers, man. I think that year one he's gonna show up and he's gonna put some decent numbers on the board. I really, really do. You see, and I know that's kind of a almost like a cop out answer, right? Like, oh yeah, our first pick, but I really think that he's gonna be such a great addition to this offense, man. I'm gonna be excited. Chris, yeah, smash them likes, y'all. Hit them likes if you have not subscribed yet. Please subscribe. I gotta always throw it out there. Hitting that subscribe button is free to you. May not make a big difference in your life, but it'll definitely make a big difference in mine. Let's see. Who's getting motivated, man? Who's motivating you? Nav, man? I think I missed something in there. I had to jump around a little bit. Let's see. Raider Deb, Huaga was my main I wanted aside of JD5. Yeah, yeah, Deb. I really thought that that was like our route, right? I figured the number one target for the Raiders is Jane Daniels, right? And then number two target I figured was either going to be Michael Penix Jr. or Fuaga. And so I think that that's what shocked, everybody during the draft, right? Is, we get to 13 and Fuaga's there, Terrion Arnold, Quinion Mitchell, all these players that we were all talking about and looking at beforehand. And then they say Brock Bowers, and it's just like, who? Like, because this is somebody I didn't even know anything about him, because he wasn't somebody I even considered was an option for us. And so, like, at first I think everybody is just kind of shocked a little bit, but then, you know after everybody's watched the tape, it's like it's there. Tape don't lie. And I think that having this weapon, I think what they looked at was like, okay, we didn't get our quarterback, and so we need to put these quarterbacks that we have on our roster in the best position to succeed. So you give them a really good, solid weapon with pick one, and then with pick two, you give them a really good interior offensive lineman. And so I'm not mad about it at all. Navman, feeling like the youngster in here. Only been a fan for 53 years since birth. I feel blessed to have all you old school Raider fans in my chat right now. I feel like the youngster. I've been a Raider fan for 21 years. I was not born into this. Um, I didn't have another team before Raiders. Before that, I mostly was into basketball, but I kind of followed along with certain players. There was certain guys I liked. I liked Jerry Rice. I liked Randy Moss when he was with the Vikings. I liked Brett Favre. There's a couple of players that I liked to watch, but I didn't really. I could never really get with a team. My grandpa was a Cowboys fan, and I used to love to watch games with him, but I just never got on board with it, which I'm grateful today, man. I could end up being a Cowboys fan, born into that, dude. No, thank you, man. It's because I'm in New Mexico, right? And so since I'm in New Mexico, um, all the games that they televise are Cowboys games and Broncos games. Nasty over here, man. Everybody is either a Cowboys fan or a Broncos fan. I was 13 years old last time we won a Super Bowl, man. I wasn't even born yet, man. I was not even born yet. Let me see, man. Catch up in the chat. Catch up. Keeping my eyes open for Trevon Diggs that Dallas doesn't want to pay. Holy shit, man. Diggs, that's a possibility, man. But wouldn't we have to trade for him? Nah, man. I think he's still under contract. I can dig the digs. Yeah, man. Appreciate you, Ernest, man. Appreciate you. I'm trying to learn how to catch up, man. I'm not quite old enough to say I'm on the get off my lawn gang, but I always watch Wasted kind of struggle to keep up with the chat, man. And I was like, oh, it's maybe it's an age disconnect with technology. And no, man, you just I get caught up, right? I get caught up. I see some comments. We start talking, and before I know it, I'm like, oh, I'm way behind again. And then I start catching up a little bit, and then nope. Let me see. Deb, I don't think it's the connection. I honestly, I think I'm just not keeping up. You know, I think that's just where we are. Yeah, I'll get better, man. I'll start learning how to keep up a little bit better. Also, I don't, I hate to skip comments. I want to try to read as many comments as I can. Um, I know what it's like to be on the other end, right? And putting in comments and then just like, man, I really wish they'd read my comment, but you know, I'm also not gonna spam my comment 50 times to try to get it read. Seems like Ernest is the OG in the chat, man. See, except that we are going to run with AOC and Gardner, our defense will win this division. I think that I definitely see us having the best defense in our division, which is when was the last time some of you guys have been around for a while, when was the last time that we actually could say without a doubt that we had the best defense in the division, right? So would I love to have the best quarterback in the division? Yes. In a division where we have Patrick Mahomes, it didn't matter who we drafted this year. I don't think that they're going to be better than Patrick Mahomes, right? So if we can have the best defense in the division, it's all right, dude. As long as we have a quarterback that can put some points on the board. Got to keep them picks to a minimum. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. I guess I missed something. It looked like somebody maybe got the boot. I can see you adding a nice silver line in the middle of that beard. Looking OG, triple OG. It's getting there, man. It's really starting to show out quite a bit. I'm 36 years old, but I got kids, so you can see my kids right there. They actually came out with a study that said that stress actually does cause gray hair. So, all those years that my mom blamed me for her gray hairs, she was actually right. Yeah, my kids are my karma for sure. Chris, I thought I added you, man. Oh yeah, you do have the wrench. For some reason, the wrench isn't showing up on StreamYard for you. It is for Navman. Oh, am I really that behind? Jesus. Let me see, man. I'm gonna take a big jump ahead, man. I'm sorry, guys. Anybody I'm skipping out on your stuff, I'm gonna get more current. We're already an hour and a half in, um, so I don't want to stay too far behind, man. Jeez, man, you guys chatting it up. Oh yeah, you got it. Cool. All right, I finally caught up, man. I only had to skip like 50 chats. Jeez, getting way way behind, man. Hardcore behind. Yeah, definitely hardcore behind. I mean, so let's hear it, man. What I'm hearing so far in the chat is that you guys are pretty split. Um, what do you guys feel about what are we gonna do with quarterback? Who do you think is gonna win this job? Because I can't get myself to stand on either side. Sometimes I really want AOC, sometimes I really want Minshew, and it pretty much daily it's going back and forth for me. We talking in here, yeah. I hardly ever get to say this anymore. Go Raiders, big brother. Yeah, man. I mean, I want to see how good AOC can get too. And that's one of the big things that keeps kind of leaning me towards Aiden O'Connell, because I don't know if Aiden O'Connell would necessarily play better than Gardner Minshew, right? I can't definitively say that that's what I believe. But what I do believe is that Aiden O'Connell is younger. It's his second year, and really being able to be in a position where we get to see what we actually have in Aiden O'Connell is appealing to me, because it could be that Aiden O'Connell has a higher ceiling than most of us really think that he does. If Demokes was in here, he'd be saying that's the MVP for this year. Yeah, Chris, it's hard to say until preseason. And I'm wondering, what's that going to look like for us, right? Are we going to end up just kind of splitting preseason? Like maybe one guy gets one game, one guy gets another. Are they going to split it by halves? Are they going to split it by quarters? I do think that both of them are going to play in the preseason. It's just, I'm wondering what that's going to look like. Let's see. I think Aiden O'Connell will take a big jump this year, but I like guard dog too. That's why I keep saying whichever wins the job in camp has my support. Hard choice right now. And that's really what it comes down to. I don't think there's this thing that my mom taught me, right? Where because I was having trouble making a decision and she had me flip a coin and she said, okay, heads is this, tails is that. And I flipped a coin. And when it came up, she said, okay, now how do you really feel about that? And I said, man, I kind of wish it had landed on the other one. And she said, okay, do that. I was like, but the coin flip. And she said, you don't have to follow the coin flip. All the coin flip did was show you how you truly feel. And so I really think that that's what it's going to be like. Whoever wins the job, it might show me how I really feel, right? I might be like, man, I kind of wish it was the other guy. Or I might be excited and say, you know what? Like, I'm glad this is the one, And so I think that's when it's really going to show out. This will be Aiden O'Connell's first time with first team reps. Give the young man a chance, and he didn't get those last season, right? And then when Josh McDaniels threw him in on that Chargers game and he got sacked by Khalil Mack 6 times, he had several fumbles. I think it shook him. And he was not thrown into a good situation. And so I think it was hard when once AP named him as the starter and he really started coming in and catching ground. Um, I think that it really made it hard for him that he had that Chargers game because he was shook. Now, with him having a full off season, right, where he's getting those first team reps, if he, if that's what ends up happening, I think that he's plus the experience he had from last year. I think that he'll step in game one in a way better position than he did this last year. Depends on the system we run and who adapts to it better, and it seems like Luke Getzey's system is a little bit more built around the pocket passer, which both these guys do pretty good as a pocket passer. I don't know that Gardner Minshew's ability to scramble and throw on the run would hurt him in this scheme. But yeah, it's all about who adapts to that system better. Definitely shout out to the OG Ernest. OG Ernest, man. Ernest, you might have to change your name to OG Ernest, man. Minshew peaked, and that could be true. You know, um, Rich Gannon was a journeyman quarterback who really didn't see his best play until he got with the Raiders. And so that's what a lot of people are speculating right now is that Garner Minshew might have that kind of play over here where he hits his peak here. Now, I don't know if that's going to be true or not, and that's kind of why I lean towards Aiden O'Connell a little bit, just because, if Minshew has already peaked and we've already seen what we're going to potentially get out of him, I would like to see what we could potentially get out of Aiden O'Connell. Yeah, McDummy was a jerk for doing that. And the way he talked about Aiden O'Connell was weird. It's like you drafted this guy and then you're gonna like laugh like, hey, it's not preseason anymore. And it's just, I don't know, dude. That guy was a slime ball. Did not like him. Who do you think will wins the third down running back? Lauby or Abdullah? Honestly, I think Lauby is a better running back. I think that Lauby is going to take on more of the special team stuff that Abdullah had been doing, and I think Abdullah will start out as our third down back. But I think they brought in Lauby to take over for that position. I think honestly, Lauby though, I think that he'll end up being our running back too by next year. That's how I really feel about it. Lauby is good, man. I've watched a lot of tape on him too. That was like an amazing pickup. I know he came from a small school, but the dude, he's got some good moves. He's got good heart. He's got good ethic. I think that Abdullah is probably going to be in his last year with the Raiders. Let's see. It's great to see how the Raider fans are together on social media. Usually it's at the tailgate parties to catch up with each other. I truly love y'all from the bottom of my heart. You are the future. Yeah, man. I mean, and I think that social media has the ability to really connect us, and it also has the ability to divide us. So many people, so many relationships have been fractured from the voice of social media, and people really get influenced. You can see, I've met people like I got a good friend, man, and he, would wear car jerseys and all this stuff, and then when a lot of the fan base started turning on Derek Carr, he like jumped on board with that. And it's like it's weird because this guy was such a Derek Carr fan. And just the influence of social media really helped sway him the other way. And now he's a pretty cynical fan for mostly everything now, which is really it's difficult to see because he used to be very positive. Let me see, man. I'm gonna try to hit this before I fall too far behind. I find it hard to tell now, but I suspect the new kickoff rules favor Abdullah. And I think Lauby will do good in that as well. I think that those are going to be our two returners. Could be that we end up with DJ Turner in there, though. There was, some times where DJ Turner had some weird drops, but I really like. We have some really good key special teams players, man. We really, really do. Abdullah might get cut. I don't know that they would cut him this year. I think that they'll let him play the year out, even if he's only mostly contributing on special teams. But I think that he'll make the roster, honestly. Let's see. Lauby will flourish in passing downs. I really think that he will. He had so many yards, both running and passing, but like his own, like how he said, like he models his style of play after Christian McCaffrey, right? And if that's really the case, man, I don't see him. I don't think he's going to end up being at that level, but just the style of play, I saw a lot of that in his tape, honestly. And if that translates into the NFL, yeah, man, I really think that he's going to end up being our passing back. And it could be that Abdullah doesn't last in that position as the passing back very long. But also, Alexander Madison does pretty good in the passing game as well. I really like these additions. See the Raiders signing any current free agents now or waiting until post June? We talked about that a little bit, but honestly, I could see us signing um, a cornerback, right? And I really hope we do before June 1st. I would love to see us get Xavier Howard, Adoree Jackson, Stephon Gilmore, pick up one of these guys before June 1st, and then use the money that we get from the Jimmy Garoppolo thing in order to sign somebody after. It could be that our Telesco might have kind of a heads up on somebody that's going to be a post June 1st cut that he's really targeting. But I see us bringing in at least one or two pretty good free agents. I'd be surprised if we don't. See, who thinks with the new kickoff rules favor backup running backs over backup wide receivers? This will be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I really see them being in a position because, like, really, it's been like wide receivers and defensive backs doing most of the returning, and now having a running back in that position is going to be ideal because of their size and their strength. And you get somebody. I mean, Lauby's not really a big guy. He's 5'10". He's a little undersized, but the dude he's quick, he's shifty, and he's strong. And so like really him and Abdullah. I think you're right. I think that we're going to start seeing more backup running backs being able to be useful in the special teams game. Third and Lauby. I like it, man. California Dave. Lauby was the only pick I really didn't like. It's not the player, it's the position, running back. UDFA. I think that like Tom Telesco is able to pick up Austin Eckler as a UDFA. I think he's got a pretty decent eye for running backs. The fact that they picked up Lauby and he was a 6th rounder, right? I'm pretty sure he was 6th. It might have been 5th. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they drafted him tells me that they really see a need there and that they really see somebody that's going to translate to the NFL. Because really, I mean, we could have waited till UDFA. I don't think he would have been on the board, but he might have. Some people are like, yeah, I expected him to go in the 4th round. And then there's some people that are like, I had never even heard of him before. And I'm one of those. I had never even heard his name, So when the pick came through, I was like, what? Who? Like there was even running backs on the board that I did know their name. So I was really kind of surprised about that. But also, some of the running backs that were projected to be six rounders ended up going in the third round. So, it was a weird draft, man. I saw some weird stuff happen. Let's see. Laube is going to be great or not. Let me know on that, man. I think Laube is going to be a good pickup overall. Um, there are certain positions in this draft where I thought we are going to pick up a different name than we did, and I wasn't so sure about it. But once watching some tape, it's like, honestly, I give this draft a B. I would say running back based on where the players from both teams line up and can't move until the ball lands. And I think that's I was getting really bugged with the kickoffs, man. It's like every single one, touchback, touchback. And I was starting to wonder, why do we even do this kick anymore? Why don't we just go ahead and the other team gets the ball at the 25 and just go, you know? Let's see. Robbie's a Swiss Army knife, and he can do anything, and he really has a lot of different skill sets and a really good attitude about knowing that, he's going to have to do special teams to get into this roster. I love it. Let's see. Lauby, Bowers, Myers. Who you going to key on the third and short? And then I mean, and those aren't our only threats on that third and short. Like, I think that the addition of these guys really is going to open up availability more in the passing game, man. I really do. They're in short Bowers. Yeah, and then he's got like those jet sweeps, and like he's got a lot of good ability to take things from the backfield to line up in the slot, even line up on the outside, line up as tight end, H back. There's a lot of different ways that we're going to be able to use them. And I messed the whole thing up. Lauby will benefit running through Colton and JPJ. Huge yackers. Yeah, dude. And that's a big thing that, both Brock Bowers and Lauby, a lot of yards after the catch, right? A lot of yards after contact. All right, you guys. We're coming up. We're coming up on 2 hours, man. I promised my daughter that, she's got a big orientation um tomorrow, and I promised her that we'd go buy her an outfit, man. There we go, man. There we go. All right, guys. Honestly, I'm gonna have to get out of here. I'm having so much fun with you guys. I honestly didn't want to log off, but I just looked up and I saw the time, and yeah, they're gonna be. My daughter's gonna be wondering what's going on, right? So, I better family first. You guys already know. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys so much for joining the chat today. I'm going to keep this thing with TGI Raiders Friday Live a thing. We're going to go for 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, right? So the same time that we went on today, I'm going to try to do that every week. I'm definitely going to have more lives than that. I think I'm going to stick more to the live videos than the short videos. Honestly, I enjoy it more. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I'll probably be live again before the end of the weekend. Much love to Raider Nation, and I will catch you guys on the next one.